Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch One. Thanks for logging on. Today we are looking at the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Yacht-Master, reference 116622, or as it's known in Rolex speak, Rolesium, 40 millimeters. You can see this bimetallic Rolex Yacht-Master and purchase it on our website, watchyouwant.com. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. Now, the standout feature of this reference, revealed at Basel World 2012, is the combination of the exquisite sunburst metallic blue dial with that Rolex Rolesium metal combo. The platinum bezel, now a full platinum bezel, with the polished and brushed stainless steel case. What I really like about this watch is the visual impact of that contrast. The light metal with the drama of the reflective sunburst blue dial. The Shaka Red helps, but what sets this one up is the ergonomics. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. The watch sits nice and even, 12 millimeters thick, 40 millimeters across the nearest diagonal portions of the round part of the case. You've got that 48 millimeter lug-to-lug, 12 millimeter combination that makes for a nice fit, full-sized without being oversized. And on a smaller wrist like mine, there's absolutely no trouble with the fit. Now, the 6-digit reference Yacht-Master did bring a slightly burlier case, but I will say that it wears well, and Rolex does a great job with ergonomics. You can see how the lugs thrust downward and really begin to arc around the wrist. So even though it has conforming end pieces to the bracelet, it doesn't have a tendency at all to flare. You can actually see the lugs themselves are nice and short, cropped in, close coupled to the flanks of the bezel in the case. You can see that the bracelet really does flare out over my wrist, so that even though my wrist is small, there's no sense that this is overhanging or that it wants to capsize. You could wear this on a smaller wrist, so if your wrist is 15 centimeters, maybe even a little smaller, you've still got a good chance of getting this watch to fit. It's not as massive as the 6-digit reference Submariners or GMTs. Now, the bracelet is of superb and surpassing quality. The finish is first rate. First of all, we're talking modern Rolex, so everything's solid. There are no more hollow center or end links. Moreover, the finish, which contrasts a gorgeous polished flank, brushed shoulder, and polished center link combo, has a lot of contrast without going two-tone, and I like how Rolex achieves that strictly through use of fine finish. The taper is nice and progressive, and the underside is beautifully designed from an ergonomic standpoint and beautifully finished from a practical standpoint, because you can see how each individual link has a little bit of built-in camber or a little bit of built-in curvature to it. And that built-in curvature means that it does begin to arc around your wrist even without having to pull it. Its natural form is curved. So ergonomically it works well, aesthetically it works well, and with channels or basically relieved sort of gullies in between the individual links, there is space for skin, there is space for hair without getting pinched or pulled. Very well designed. It's also equipped with a fully milled out Rolex clasp. Now, these have come a long way since the days of the stamped clasps. They now feel like bank vaults by comparison, and you can see the standard of finishing. Contrasting finish, fully finished on its interior components. It closes with a solid snick and a snap. It's very impressive. It is a premium product. But the Yacht-Master has always been a premium product in the Rolex line. Now, that might sound a little bit redundant, but you have to remember that back in 1992, when the model first debuted, it was sort of seen as a Submariner 2.0, essentially a Submariner that embraced Rolex's position as a luxury watch manufacturer in the modern world, while the Submariner was more of a throwback to the days of the true Rolex utility watch. As such, the Yacht-Master was always viewed as a surface water sports watch. With the bidirectional rotating bezel, it could be used for timing the legs of regatta. It could be used for timing events that were critical from a chronometric perspective, but not life-threatening. To that end, you have a water-resistant case, 100 meters or 330 feet, and all of this built around the centerpiece, that sunburst blue metallic dial. Now, where does this set this watch apart? Well, it sets it apart from the previous Rolesium or platinum and stainless steel Yacht-Master, in that one featured a grained, almost textured platinum dial that was exquisite in its construction and detail and played really well in the light, but had a tendency to look a little bit sterile and monotone unless it was absolutely dead square in blazing direct sunlight. This one has a lot more subtle appeal in low light. Indoors, this dial almost has a life of its own. The applied white gold elements, the hands as well as the indices, play nicely against the darker backdrop, which has enough texture and grain to it that as you move it through the light, there is a little bit of play of motion, there is a little movement of the reflection and the highlights. It's very intriguing, and the shocks of red on the hand as well as the Yacht-Master script at 6 o'clock add a little bit of playfulness to it. Now, outboard of it, you see one of the other improvements that came along in 2012, bidirectional rotating as ever, and as with all Rolesium Yacht-Masters, it is platinum fundamentally, but the distinction here is that it is now completely platinum. Rather than having a soldered insert in platinum on top of a stainless steel bezel, as in the original version, the 6-digit version now has a full platinum bezel, so you're getting more precious metal, but you're also getting a little bit more aesthetic coherence. There is no break in the luster of that metal. Platinum and steel don't read exactly the same. Here, the bezel and the insert now do read exactly the same. Tremendous coherence. As ever, a COSC certified chronometer, this watch does have a Rolex caliber 3135, so from a mechanical standpoint, identical to the Submariner. The watch features the 31 jewels, the bidirectional perpetual winding. Real world, you're going to get about 50 hours of power reserve from a full wind to a dead stop, and it does feature hacking seconds, so you can synchronize it to a reliable reference time or regatta clock. Moreover, with the Parachrome blue hairspring, it's not just a water-resistant watch and a remarkably shock-resistant watch, but also thermally and anti-magnetic, shall we say, insulated in most respects. Unless you're operating near an MRI or a particle collider, this watch is pretty durable, pretty resilient. You're not going to need any surrogates. And the bottom line is this is an all-the-time watch. The absence of any colored precious metal makes it very versatile, but also low profile when you need it to be. It's also upscale and elegant when you want it to be, and the combination of the white metal and that sunburst blue dial really does make the package. This is a very compelling watch from every standpoint you can imagine. Durability, value, iconic design, chronometric precision, and versatility. You can see this Rolex Oyster Perpetual Yacht-Master 40mm in Rolex Rolesium 116622 on our website, watchyouwant.com.